Hi, welcome to Barret-Jackson's Car Search. I'm Darla Hahn, coming to you from Car Search Central. All of us loyal speed viewers love old cars. Whether it was a car from our youth that inspired us or a timeless design we've admired, everyone has a dream car they've always wanted to own. Our mission on this show is to help you in your quest by providing you with the tools to search confidently for that special car. We'll travel the country to bring the wisdom of the car world's most knowledgeable experts directly to you. But we'll also put our money where our mouth is by sending teams of car searchers out to actually buy cars. We've enlisted 3 crack search teams and given them each $100,000 in cold, hard cash. Once the cars are bought, they'll cross the auction block at Barret-Jackson. The team making the most profit for charity will be named Car Search Champion. 300 grand. 12 cars, 3 teams, 1 winner. The car searchers will scour the country to find rare, beautiful, and valuable collector cars wherever they may be hiding. We'll bring the hunt into your home and show you what to pay and what you should repair to ensure that your collector car appreciates in value. Finally, at our Barret-Jackson's Car Search Garage in Scottsdale, Craig Jackson himself will crawl under the hood to show you how to decode a car and understand its particular history. Craig will also share with you the intimate knowledge he has gained over 30 years in the collector car business. For more on that, here's Craig in Scottsdale.
For over 30 years, I've seen every type of car cross our auction block, and I've had the privilege of helping thousands of people get into car collecting. I've seen the joy that it brings to them when they're the winning bidder on a car. That's what this show is all about. We're going to educate you on how to get into car collecting and get the car of your dreams. One of the first questions I'm always asked is, Craig, what kind of car should I buy? Well, the first thing I ask is, what do you like and what do you want to do with the car? Do you like American muscle? Do you like European sports? Do you want to go out and vintage race? Do you want to do a rally? Do you want to go to a concours? All of those things are different cars. They're different types of cars for different uses. You need to figure that out. We'll help you then figure out what to pay and what to look for. Ultimately, car collecting is an emotional thing. It's something that takes you back to your youth or something you always wanted. What we're going to do here is teach you to use your heart and your brain so that at the end of the day, it's a real happy and enjoyable experience.
Coming up, we'll travel to Big D, Hot Atlanta, and Hollywood to meet the men who form our 3 car search teams. And also, we'll travel to the German Auto Fest in Ventura, California to learn about the Porsche that started it all, the 356. Finally, Craig will take a close look at a great 356 in Barret-Jackson's Car Search Garage. All this is coming right up, so stick around.
This Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by Hagerty, the nation's largest collector car insurance company.
Welcome back to Barret-Jackson's Car Search. While everyone can appreciate a beautiful car, looks aren't always everything. A car's originality and provenance is often of greater value than its beauty. To learn more about the process of identifying and authenticating collector cars, let's join Craig in Scottsdale.
Welcome to Barret-Jackson's Car Search Garage. This is where we put away the emotions and we really look at the car. This is where the condition of the car will tell you the history and the story of the car. We're going to look at the condition of the paint. Does it have orange peel? Where to look for where the rust likes to hide. The originality of what we're looking at. How to look for matching numbers and how to tell if they're real. And in addition, we'll guide you to reference guides that'll tell you what all of these different numbers mean and how to decode them. We'll look at the most popular models and show you what to look for in each type of car, because they all have their own little idiosyncrasies, their Achilles heel. So armed with this knowledge, you can begin your search. When you stumble across a car, you'll know what to look for, what kind of options, what's its rarity, how much should I pay. Whether you go to an auction or it's at your local gas station, you'll know what to do.
When word got out that we were giving out 300 grand to buy collector cars. We had car nuts coming out of the woodwork to get a chance to spend Speed's money. Our casting process was tough, but we think we found the best car guys in the U.S. To be sure we covered the whole nation, we wanted to place our teams on both coasts and the center of the country. We started out west in what may be the richest reserve of collector cars in the world, Southern California. The 4 guys we found could have come straight from Central Casting, and we're hoping they'll find some heavenly rides in the City of Angels.
We're in a contest, we want to win. This guy wants to buy your wagon. He wants to give you $25,000 for it.
Jerry Leckage is a cigar-smoking, hot rod building legend in his hometown of Venice, California. Jerry grew up in the mythical LA hot rod scene and drives a hopped-up pickup to his hot rod shop every morning.
Since I build cars from the frame up, I kind of know mechanically and paint-wise how they should be done. Well, I started life out as a shipwright, been a woodworker all my life. And on the side, I've always built cars. My dad always said, if you take your hobby and make it your life, you'll probably be happy. So I've been building cars ever since I was about 14 years old, which is about 40 years. I learn something new every day.
Ray Claridge supplies the movies with cars of every age and description through his company, Cinema Vehicles. He lives every car lover's dream because he shops for vintage cars for a living.
Car collecting's been a disease I've had since I was a teenager. I mean, I hung around at gas stations till they throw me out or give me a job, one of the two. I don't know that anybody's an expert in this business, even if, I don't care how old you are.
Scott Schinkel also works in the movie biz by building miniatures and models for special effects. When he's not building stuff or blowing it up, he works on his 5 cars in West LA, and he's the baby of the LA team.
Actually, I started out working on cars when I was about 15 years old. Went to school for industrial design, learned how to design cars. And there's a lot of craftsmanship involved in both building cars and doing scale models.
Marty Weiss is the wisecracking owner of Nationwide Baby Shops. A kid at heart himself, Marty loves to play with his extensive collection of vintage Porsches. He provides the LA team's comic relief by busting everyone's chops.
My skill, I think, is actually buying the cars.
My sister worked for a baby shop. She was the manager there. She was making $6 an hour. My father and I were in another business, and we decided to open up the shop and put her in business for herself.
I've been in the cars for 40 years.
That's my passion, you know, just driving cars.
Sometimes finding a car is harder than you think.
It's going to be a tough venture.
The car's got to be very clean. It's got to be very straight.
We got to get something that really shows real well.
I think we'll do pretty good. I think we'll be tough competition for the other guys.
The boys from LA will face some stiff competition from their rivals back east. Join us for our trips to Texas and Georgia later. But first, we'll learn all about the 356 Porsche at the German Auto Fest in Ventura, California. Don't go away.
This Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by Gladiator Garage Works by Whirlpool Corporation, the official garage system of Barret-Jackson's Car Search.
Today is one of the world's leading sports car manufacturers. It all started back in 1948 with this car, the 356. This particular car, we'll come back and look at it.
Cali certainly aimed to win, but first they'll need to beat a rowdy group of cowboys from Texas. Dallas is fertile car ground with a thriving collector car scene. We set out to find some Texas-sized experts with a hankering to round up some beautiful cars. Scotty Gray heads up the Dallas team. He owns several Boyd Coddington hot rods, manages his own auto auction, and showers with his parrot every morning.
I was a college boy, suit and tie, pencil pusher in downtown Dallas. I didn't really enjoy my job. I'd always tinkered with cars even when I was a little kid, so I decided I would go in the car business. Had a wife and 2 little kids and no money. Went busted 3 times before I finally made a little bit of money and stuck, and then went in the auction business back in 1990. As my taste for cars developed, it turned into a real taste for street rods.
Big Ephraim Smith is 32 years old and drives a big rig for UPS. Smitty, as his friends call him, is currently building both a 67 Chevelle and a 67 Nova.
I grew up around classic cars my whole life.
My dad's always had classic cars. It's just been one of those things I've always done.
Rusty Davis has managed rock bands, worked as a cabinet maker, and loves shoebox Fords. He and Smitty are both members of the Kulos Car Club in Dallas.
I'm not much of a suit and tie guy. I couldn't hack it in the corporate world. Getting up that early just bugs the hell out of me. And you can't go out and drink. What kind of life would it be being able to go out and drink and going to the races, drinking at the races? I'm hands-on. I drive a 49 Ford every day.
Lonnie Brown is CEO of a natural gas marketing company. He's married with 2 children and loves American muscle cars.
I would say that my love affair with cars began when I was about 6 years old. The first thing that I want to do when I return home from work each and every day, get into my jeans, get in my shop, surround myself with my cars, get a crown on the rocks, and relax. And my classic cars provide that relaxation for me. It's very important in my life.
You think we can blow the whole 100,000 in one day?
I think everybody brings a little bit of originality to the table.
My life, as I've said, is 24/7 cars.
I consider myself a builder. I can get up underneath a car and see what's wrong with it when we're buying it.
I feel like I have the knowledge to shop intelligently.
Fix and put a high torque starter in there.
This has got to be one of the most exciting things I've ever been asked to do.
Being selected for this group makes me feel kind of special.
The best team will win, which is, according to me, is going to be the Texas team.
Beating out the guys in LA and Atlanta is not going to be a problem.
I heard we got Atlanta stomped out pretty good. You know, they're a bunch of extremely old guys with old attitudes. Team Texas is #1.
When we come back, we're off to Georgia to meet the Atlanta Car Search team. And later, Craig will examine a vintage Porsche, so don't go away.
Whoa.
Rounding out our 3 car search teams is a group of Southern gentlemen from outside Atlanta who can get downright ornery when negotiating to buy a car. Among them, they boast a collection that would make any car lover drool. Bob Johnson was the first Georgia boy cast on a team, and he's pulled in his buddies to help. Bobby's married with 2 kids, but his cars are his real babies.
I was born here in Atlanta, Georgia, 1945. I don't know, I've just always cared for cars. I started working when I was like 12, working at grocery stores and cutting grass and doing everything else, but I didn't have enough money to purchase a car when I got 16.
Bob's buddy Larry Stapp is the rock star of the Atlanta team. He gets his kicks racing cars and exercising his large collection of Ferraris.
My love for cars started, what I call the car addiction, at an early age. I bought an AMT model car kit of a 1949 Ford after seeing the movie Thunder Road. As soon as I could afford a car at, I guess, 13, by then I saved up my money, I purchased my first car, and I've been purchasing them, as my wife says, addictive ever since. Presently, I have about 9 Ferraris, 4 or 5 Porsches, several Mercedes, some pretty rare BMWs, and then some muscle cars.
Keith Henderson spent the last 20 years scouring the backwoods of the South looking for his beloved Mopars and Corvettes. With his kids in college, Keith gets to divide his time equally between his cars and his 4 dogs.
I think it's probably natural for most men to love cars. It sort of gets born in your blood, I think. And I'm not a fanatic of any one particular car. I pretty well like all of them.
Milton Robson has perhaps the most significant collection of 50s and 60s cars in the state. Now retired from the wholesale food business, Milt has been working on his collection for the last 30 years.
I got a few 55 Chevrolets. That was my love in high school. That's what I drove during high school. My son was actually born when I was 19. So raising them, you forgot about cars. Till I was about in my late 20s, early 30s when I really got into saying, hey, collector cars is where I want to be.
I'm captain Team Atlanta.
Our team is called the Fat and the Furious. That's because our leader, Bob Johnson, is fat, and the people he usually buys cars from, they end up being furious.
That's pretty much about it.
Looks like those Atlanta boys are loaded for bear. They're ready to get out there and cars. Our Haggerty Protection Network tip pertains to the first thing any collector car buyer needs to consider once the money changes hands: insurance. It may seem obvious, but insurance for a collector car is critical. Many regular auto policies don't cover collector cars immediately upon purchase, so make sure you're insured properly before you drive or trailer that car home. To get started, most collectors' insurance agencies only need you to do a few things. Fill out the company's application. Photograph your car for both authentication and proof of condition. And you must provide proof of insurance for your regular cars. Collector's insurance is preferable to regular insurance for non-daily drivers because it won't depreciate the value of your car like standard insurance will. Haggerty's insurance will also insure your car for an agreed-upon value, unlike most regular insurance. Follow these simple steps and protect that new member of the family. When Barret-Jackson's Car Search returns, we'll check out a lovely vintage Porsche with Craig in Scottsdale.
This Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by Haggerty, the nation's largest collector car insurance company.
Experience, they realized they knew somebody that had a wonderful
enthusiasts. But the Saleen customer isn't Joe Everybody, which is why the company's slogan.
Hi, welcome to Barret-Jackson's Car Search. I'm Darla Hahn, coming to you from Car Search Central. All of us loyal Speed viewers love old. Everyone has a dream car they've always wanted to own. Our mission on this show is to help you in your quest by providing you with the tools to search confidently for that special car. We'll travel the country to bring the wisdom of the car world's most knowledgeable experts directly to you. But we'll also put our money out the country to find rare, beautiful, and valuable collector cars wherever they may be hiding. We'll bring the hunt into your home and show you what to pay and what you should repair to ensure that your collector car appreciates in value. Finally, at our Barret-Jackson's Car Search Garage in Scottsdale, Craig Jackson himself will crawl under the hood to show you how to decode a car and understand its particular history. Craig will also share with you the intimate knowledge he has gained over 30 years in the collector car business. Today on Car Search, we hit the road for Dallas, Atlanta, and LA to watch the boys begin their hunting. We'll also visit a Mustang Roundup to learn more about America's favorite pony car. Out in Scottsdale, Craig will take a look at a fine little filly from 1965. First, let's saddle up with Dallas as they inspect a 1930 Ford Hot Rod pickup. They've got 25 grand to spend if this truck's the right one.
All right, guys, so what are we looking at here?
What we got here is a 30 model Ford pickup truck that we actually talked about a little bit earlier.
This is the one I was telling you guys that needs work. It's a running and driving vehicle right now, and it's in good shape. It just needs cosmetic changes to make it into more of a wrestle rod type truck.
Are you volunteering?
I am volunteering. I'll do all the work myself.
Oh, good.
Back in LA, the Cali team is at an automotive smorgasbord called the Long Beach Swap Meet. Our LA crew is immediately drawn to a 1958 Ford Ranch wagon. Wagons are red-hot collectibles right now, so the boys take a close look.
I'm not sure if she wanted it to be a modern wagon or an old wagon.
Just a driver.
It's got an air conditioning pump, is it there?
They made it up. Yeah, it's a nice looking little deal the way they did it.
Stand a little tidying up.
A little?
We're gonna fix the regatta cheese in a plastic bag syndrome it's got right there behind the wheel.
And all the rust spots sticking through here.
I think this whole thing down here is made out of Bondo.
Hard to say.
For an auction, the wagon is borderline. It's all about the price.
Even at Barrett's, I think you'd be hard-pressed to get 20 for this thing.
Yeah, it's the problem with the body rust and the engine is not detailed enough. What are we willing to offer?
It just depends.
Coming up, Dallas passes judgment on a hot rod, LA tries to find a bargain at the swap meet, and Atlanta tries to pull together a Mercury.
The picture I got in my mind is going to look great on this car.
Can you get your picture in your mind back up on the screen for us to see?
We can see it.
This Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by
Welcome to the wireless age.
The Atlanta crew is heading out to look at a 1950 Mercury Custom. Let's tag along. When they arrive to look at the Merc, they're surprised to find it in pieces.
Woo! 425 horse, turbo 400.
Is this bolt extra?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
I got everything that's ever been done to this car right here in the Snowflake.
It's got to be finished and down in Florida in March or something.
Bob, your date's here.
Yeah.
Hey, unlike the last one you bought, it's got a tag and a title, too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a big plus for us.
The picture I got in my mind is going to look great on this car.
Those are really pretty flames, but could we change those if we wanted to?
No.
Is that like a no-no?
Well,
I mean, could you?
It's already under the
no, you
clear.
could, but
Could you like make them a different color?
I could. But what's wrong with those?
Well, Milton didn't like them.
Really? But these change colors.
We got 25, Mike, and if we buy it at 25, we can't spend any money on it at that same. We're flush, we're done.
Everything's negotiable.
As we've just seen, the Atlanta team knows that early 50s Fords and Mercurys do well in an auction setting. But perhaps no Ford is more beloved than the Mustang. Craig has more about this American icon.
For many, the 65 Mustang is the prototypical American car. Its launch in 1964 was the most successful new car launch of its time. Kids loved it because of its performance. Mom and Dad loved it because it did seat 4 people and it appealed to everybody. And it is still just as popular today, some 40 years later.
Let's visit a Mustang Roundup to learn more about America's favorite pony car.
When the 64.5 Mustang came out, and it looked different from anything else. It was just a completely different car. The styling was better, it was cleaner, and you saw young people buying them. Cosmetically, the 64.5 to 65, were very, very similar. Most noticeable about the 64.5, the early ones had this egg crate grille that looked like it was really expensive to make. They made that through 65, and in 66 they enhanced it with a horizontal bar motif. It was a little brighter, kind of sharpened up the line a little bit and kind of brought it out more. When the 64 Mustang was introduced, it carried over the early style charging system, which was that generator that had been in use since the mid-50s. By the time the 65-year model came, all those cars had alternators and they were far superior. They were probably popping out over 400,000 of them a year in their heyday. And you could get a car cheaply enough that you had a little money left over where you could soup up the engine or modify the suspension because they were affordable. The hypo option really didn't come out until 65 early, where you could get a 271 horsepower solid lifter 4-barrel 289 for 4-speed. And then the GT package would go on that if you ordered that as well. And the fastback, they kind of launched, late in 64, and it kind of gave that whole thing a boost because that looked like a race car. It had that swoopy tail and that, that big back window and everything. It was different. Later on, of course, Shelby got involved with building these first 500 Shelbys to homologate them for B production, and the rest is kind of history. The car was a hit. The GT350 is pretty much the top of the Mustang collector pieces, but the fastback cars are pretty special because they've made fewer of them. K-code fastback will bring you from the low 20s to the mid-30s depending on the mileage and how good the car is. If it's a show car, if it's a perfect original cars are getting amazing money. We were all kids when these things were coming out, and we thought they were neat, and now we're old enough to have them. The baby boomer generation's old enough, and we're buying and rebuilding and restoring the cars that we saw winning races and at the drag strip and at the drive-in when we were young, and they're still great looking. People still react to them.
Craig's back with a 65 GT later, but first we'll see how the Dallas team fares with their little hot rod truck.
Actually, Scotty, I think you're older than this truck, aren't you?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that my wife may find out how old I really am.
This Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by Gladiator Garage Works by Whirlpool Corporation, the official garage system of Barret-Jackson's Car Search.
Welcome back to Barret-Jackson Car Search. Earlier, we saw the Dallas team getting ready to check out a 1930 Ford Hot Rod. Let's catch up with them to see if this truck's got the right stuff.
Well, we've heard a little bit about this truck. Thought we'd come over and take a look at it and see what we got here.
It's fast. It's fun.
Which transmission? The 350 or the 400? Or is it 350?
350.
350?
Well, the seat goes and up around where the head and everything is. Full gauge.
Have you driven this?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, it's quick. It'll bust the tires, and doing about 80 miles an hour down the freeway, it'll break the tires loose and spin around on you.
It just needs a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
So there's no power at all, no power steering or anything
It's got
like that?
the power brakes.
Okay.
And that's it.
This truck, when y'all get through with it, works really good at a street rod auction. But I don't think Barret-Jackson's the right place for it.
I know you're going to be doing most of the work yourself, Rusty, but to get this truck to the standard you would have to be at a Barret-Jackson is probably going to take you beyond where you need to be to make some pretty good money on it. That's my opinion. I like the truck.
It is a very, very cool truck. This is me right here.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Scotty, I think you're older than this truck, aren't you?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that my wife may find out how old I really am.
You too can be restored.
No, I'm just a fluff and buff away, I'm telling you.
My suggestion is we defer until we
we table this motion.
Let's table this motion till we can get some more input.
There you go.
Why don't we head that way?
All right.
It's Miller time.
Out of here.
Sorry, boys. That 30 model Ford needed a little too much work. The LA team has a similar problem with the 58 wagon they've seen. It needs a little TLC, but maybe for the right price, it's worth the effort.
What are we willing to offer?
15. That's it.
We'd take it for 15.
Yeah. I mean, you could sell like that, but if we put $2 grand in, 2,500, we might be able to get a nice profit out of it.
We're looking to make more than $6,000 on the car?
It just depends. I mean, we might not make any money on the car, but the upside is we could make some money on that car.
The seller won't come off her price, so the boys move on.
Rare to see a 31 Chrysler Roadster.
That'd be a good car to fix up.
I don't know what those guys don't like about that car.
How about a Mach 1, Jared?
Ask them if we can take it out and do a burnout for the Speed Channel.
You guys with a TV station or what?
I don't know. These guys are following us around. I actually don't even know who they are. Can I open up your door?
It's pretty clean. The interior's a little lacking.
I take 22 for it. If Barret-Jackson, this car will go for 30 grand, I guarantee it.
Will you guarantee it?
Huh?
I'll get a spot and we'll get it and we'll just cut up the money. We'll keep it in mind. We appreciate it. We'll be back and talk to you.
All right.
Thank you. He would have never, ever gave up that price. And at Barret-Jackson, we can get maybe 23, 24, 25. But, you know, I want to win the contest.
Just like the wagon, the price on the Mach 1 isn't good enough to really make some profit at auction. The boys will have to keep looking. Next, Craig looks at a nicely restored GT, and the Atlanta team lays down some ground rules on that half-finished Merc. Stick around.
Let's say everything worked fine. Would you agree to like a penalty per day?
What kind of penalty, though? What are we talking about?
If he's worried about it, you know he might not have it. He's thinking he may not.
I'm Troy Trepanier from Rad Rides by Troy.
Beautiful early Mustang for us. Let's check in on the owner of the 50 Custom Merc. They've potentially got a great deal at their $25,000 ceiling, but some details have to be worked out before any money changes hands.
And if we buy it at 25, we can't spend any money on it at that same. We're flush, we're done. Everything's negotiable.
They agree to a price with the owner, but only if he can get the car together in time for the auction.
And how about the rest of
If
your
we
work?
was to strike a deal with him on this car, then we want it by the middle of March. We'd have to have it.
So let's say everything worked fine. Would you agree to like a penalty per day?
Now, what kind of penalty, though? What are we talking about?
5,000 a day.
We ain't building a house here.
I can do it.
Larry's just beating me up.
I'm just trying to beat him up.
In other words, if you figure if he's willing to pay that penalty,
he'll get it done.
He'll have it done.
Yeah, so we're looking at 1 month to finish the car.
So if he's worried about it, you know he might not have it. He's thinking he may not have it done.
That's true.
true.
Well, I'm just thinking if I fall and break my leg or something, you know, I'm hobbling around here.
Okay, we'll make it if you break your leg clause.
All right, yeah.
We'll be back Monday week.
All right.
And I want to see it with the glass in it, the trim on it, buffed out.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Good to see you. Nice to meet you, Milton.
Take it easy.
When redoing a classic, an owner can either create a wild custom like that Merc or return the car to original condition. Our Haggerty Protection Network tip tells us that originality is key when performing a true restoration. Always remember when restoring an old car that any original equipment on the car should be reconditioned or replaced with an NOS or new old stock part whenever possible. Maintaining the car...
Say Navy. In the world of...
Back with a little more info for us to remember about Mustangs the next time we...
Manual. We suggest the original series books on these. It'll really guide you through how to decode them. Well, after going through this car, we're going to give this a BJ rating of the high 2s. It's a show driver. They started with a wonderful foundation, a K high performance convertible, GT package, deluxe interior in it. It's got the right colors, the right options, and a wonderful restoration on it. This car should bring somewhere in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. Now you have the tools to go out and find a beautiful car like this on your own.
Out at the Long Beach Swap Meet, our team has been from one end to the other trying to find the car that will light up the auction block. The place is clearing out, and Marty convinces the guys to make one more run at the owner of the 58 Ranch wagon.
She will sell it today for 17. I know that for a fact. She'll sell it for 17. So if she doesn't want to drive her car home, I think we should buy it for 15.
Let's wander over and talk to her.
All right.
My financers.
So if we handed you $15,000 right now.
I just bought it a week ago for 18. That's $3,000 I've lost in a week, and it's a supercar.
No, it's a supercar. Just like I said, we got to sell it.
I know.
And we'd love to buy it from you, but we can't pay that much money. Yeah.
Yeah. 17 and it's yours.
Well, guys,
That's it. That's the difference between buying them to keep and buying them to sell. And it's too bad because wagons are
they're hot.
The hot deal right now. I guess we keep looking.
Well, our teams have started their searches, but everybody seems a little hesitant to part with that first bit of cash. Jerry and the LA boys couldn't close the deal on the 58 Ranch wagon, while both the Dallas and Atlanta teams took a pass on the cars they looked at. Somebody better get on the stick and buy something soon. Next week on Car Search, all of our teams will be hot on the trail of some awesome cars. Tune in to see who's striking gold.
I think it's definitely a Barret-Jackson class and quality of car.
And who's sucking wind.
This guy was ready to fight. He was ill. Really? Oh, yeah.
And Craig will be with us from Scottsdale with another beautiful collector car. All this and more on next week's Barret-Jackson Car Search. I'm Darla Hahn. So long. Welcome to Barret-Jackson Car Search. I'm Darla Hahn, coming to you from Car Search Central. All of us loyal Speed viewers love old cars. Whether it was a car from our youth that inspired us or a timeless design we've admired, everyone has a dream car they've always wanted to own. On Car Search, we've enlisted 3 teams, each armed with $100 grand to find, buy, and bring these dream cars to auction.
The team making the most profit for charity is crowned our winner. With the Scottsdale auction in our rear view, let's take a look at our team's progress. The hard bargaining Atlanta guys are way up with $12,000 in profit. The shrewd, sharp-eyed Texans are trailing just $4 grand behind with a profit of $8,000. And the laid-back Californians took a pass on the Scottsdale auction, but have finally purchased their first car. For more on the teams and how they've gotten here, let's join Craig in Scottsdale.
So where are we now? Atlanta went out and found a car from an individual, fixed it up a little bit. It was a different type of car. It was one that they took from a Barracuda, turned into a Cuda. That was one tactic. It paid off very well. Dallas went and bought a car that pretty much was all done, matching number car. They happened to find someone that was looking for an El Camino, wanted one with air, so I think they came out very well on that. The LA team didn't sell one in Scottsdale. They decided to go and buy a Rebel, the machine. Their tactic was a little different. After going to the different swap meets, they finally found one surfing the internet. That's a very scary thing, but they're lucky that that car was in their hometown. They could actually go and finish the deal, look at the car, and now we'll see how it does at the auction.
Today on Car Search, the hunt continues in Dallas, LA, and Atlanta as the teams keep trying to find the right cars for the Barret-Jackson auction in Palm Beach. Also on today's show, we'll head out to Monterey to learn about Ferraris at the Concorso Italiano. And in Scottsdale, Craig will share with us an affordable Ferrari. But first, we go to Dallas, where the team has discovered what they consider a diamond in the rough.
We went out there to look at a Corvette.
That really didn't pan out very well because it had a lot of problems.
That car sucked. It was a nice car, but it just had too much that didn't work for it.
So we began to look at the 56 and noticed what a really nice car it was. The more you look at the car, the better a car you find that it is.
It's just got street appeal. It's got the right rake, good stance. Just, it looks fast sitting still.
It's been updated.
I think with the drivability of the car, it's got air conditioning. It's a pretty high horsepower engine, and you know, the color and everything else.
If somebody gave you the car, it cost $100 grand to do this with it.
It cost a lot of money.
Some of the things that people look for dependability, if they're going to cruise, the perfect car for that.
If you look under the hood, you can tell the quality of the workmanship.
Serpentine belt system, check that out. Look at the front suspension.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
When you raise the hood, it's really when I got hooked and found the fuel-injected motor, the handmade inner fender wells, the way they had done some of the plumbing, and just the general overall craftsmanship on the hood.
So the actual filter itself is
a horn
built in here. You thought I'd jump. You see, I know you. I'm ready for anything.
That's better than what Glenn was trying to get me to crank it up and put it in drive.
It looks like love at first sight with a little Ford Custom. But will the price be right? Stay tuned. Coming up, we'll learn about Ferraris in Northern Cal, and the SoCal boys haul themselves out to look at a wagon. Don't go away.
Barret-Jackson Car Search is brought to you by Hagerty, the nation's largest collector car insurance company, and by Gladiator Garage Works by Whirlpool Corporation, the official garage system of Barret-Jackson Car Search.
Today we're going to take a look at the Ferrari 3.
But in an auction setting, both inflame the passions of collectors. Team LA hopes they've found a hot 56 Nomad that could really fire up the crowd.
I was walking around at a cruise-in Saturday morning and saw the car, and my first impression was, wow, a 56 Nomad for $25,000.
Very rarely see them for sale, really rarely. And when he told me about it, I figured, hey, you know, got in the car and I shot out there. And it's a big-time West Coast surfer, old-school type of a car. If they're pretty, you know, they're valuable cars. Everybody wants to own them.
This is a 1956 Chevy Bel Air Nomad, and I've had it since 2001, almost 4 years. The only major work I did was some of the rear bumper, the frame supports, and the rear liftgate. I'd like to get around 24, 25. That's pretty much what I put into it.
You said on your flyer that you had replaced the hinges. You got a couple of problem areas here where patch panels have been welded in.
Back did have some damage. I couldn't really tell where it came from and that, but it looks like maybe the car was, hit pretty good from the back.
People used them and drove them, and you know how traffic is in LA.
The paint that he put on it, he tried to hide all the rust on the car, but of course when you open it up, you see the door jams. Door jams here, up here. You see the quarter panels, you go underneath the car. It was a rusty car.
And this is just a stock 350?
It's modified a little bit. We installed the stall converter, we pulled the heads off, changed out the cam, modified the carb a little bit. It's got a Carter 4-barrel in it, and we put some heavy-duty springs and pumps in there.
A more stock V8 55, 56 engine is going to bring a lot more dollars than a modified engine in that category, in that type of a car.
It could fetch 50 grand if it was a nicer car, but this car here is, cosmetically, it's pretty.
I thought it was a pretty good deal for the money. Just wasn't a good deal in the way that we need to get a good deal.
It needs a lot of work. It's nothing that's going to bring, any kind of bucks. Forget about big bucks. It's a $20,000 car.
Kind of realized last night that we'd have to use this for our wild card, and I'm not really sure that would be the best move. We keep finding a lot of cars that we'd love to have personally for ourselves, but don't fit the bill as far as turning them around at the Barret-Jackson.
Yeah.
It seemed like a good deal to me, but I guess maybe I was looking at it from the perspective of if I wanted that for myself, that would be a good deal.
I might have bought the car for myself just to drive around and cruise around with, but it was just not going anywhere.
I've put this car together to my liking and how I think I'm comfortable driving it, and it's just nice to get someone else's perspective.
Let's go back to bed. Not with you, though.
Sorry, guys. That Nomad needs a little too much fluffing. Keep hunting. Coming up, Craig has a Ferrari 308 for us in the garage, and Atlanta checks out an Italian stallion of their own.
1-800-509-1932. Call now.
Welcome back to Car Search. Let's head out to Scottsdale, where Craig has a nice, affordable Ferrari for us.
We chose the 308 because it is the affordable cars. Go to Barret-Jackson.com.
Awesome car, Craig. When we come back, the Atlanta team finds their own Ferrari and meets the ultimate motivated seller. Don't go away. Welcome back to Car Search. Down in Georgia, Team Atlanta has found themselves a nice Ferrari they think will charm the South Florida auction crowd.
Well, actually, Larry, he found the Ferrari in Atlanta, and he called us up just to see really what we thought about it, and if it'd be a good, which category we could put it in. We said, heck, that'd be a good wild card. What time did he say he's gonna be here today? Around 3 o'clock. It's 5:00. He's here. It's that time.
We had heard through the grapevine he was in a pinch and needed some money.
Yeah, I had a car exactly like this, so we'll know pretty quick what's a good car or not. Oh, by the way, before the guy gets here, this guy supposedly has bought a real nice loft. He's got a ton of money in his car, but he's totally upside down for his cash flow, and I guess he just needs the money. So
does that mean I get to take his head off?
Go ahead and just de-head him. But let's start off slow.
Ain't nothing like beating up a Ferrari weenie.
First impression, when you pull up the parking lot, go up to walk up, it hit you.
I'm not a big Ferrari fan.
I'm not a Ferrari guy.
It's an entry-level Ferrari. The problem with entry-level Ferraris are purchased by people who typically can't keep them up. It appears this car has gone through a series of owners who spent an enormous amount of money, then moved the car to the next person who spent even more money. So the first impression of the car was very, very favorable. We were shocked to see it that nice.
Yeah, this is the 75. So this is the first year there's actually the prancing horse insignias and stuff. Got the 16-inch wheels.
Done any major work or anything to it, or?
Less than 5,000 miles ago, I've just had entire work done to it. All the carburetors have been going through. Timing belts have been changed. As you can tell, it's been detailed.
This young man, did a really good job of keeping his surfaces up. The belts are done, the AC's been gone through, the heat's gone through. We couldn't find any rust panels. Overall, I think the car's a really good car.
It's eye-catching.
Yeah. Matt, what do you say you have to have for the car?
No doubt about it.
I'm looking around 30. I'd like to get around 30 if I could.
Somebody looking for a starter Ferrari, for the prancing horse at a reasonable price. Plus that Bertone body, or Bertone, however you pronounce it, body is kind of rare in the Ferraris. Most of those Pininfarina built type cars. So, it was a very rare design.
They look good okay, Milton?
Yeah, looks real good. This front pan did. Color's right. It looks straight. And yeah, as soon as we got down and we really went over the car, we said, hey, we can get it bought worth the money. Of course, the boy was asking a lot more money for the car.
You mind me looking under the hood? Bonnet?
Go right ahead.
The bonnet.
The bonnet. European spare, that's nice.
Yeah, European small spare.
A little small, donut.
Save a spare. It's got a lot of eye appeal. It's way out of our price range, though. You want to know how much money we really could spend. I mean, we're miles apart from 30.
Let's do a little chat here, sir.
If he's asking 30, that's all the money, don't you think?
I'd say
ball rolling,
hit him at 16, 17, stop at 18, 18.5, and if he doesn't come to that number, we walk. You've got a number which we think is way out there, because retail book on the car is 26 to 30. We're trying to buy the car obviously at wholesale, and wholesale on the car is 12 to 18, so I'm going to say 16 and start from there. How's that?
I've put in a pretty good bid already on this car.
What you've put in the car really isn't of concern to us.
Ouch! Keith isn't cutting this poor guy any slack. You won't want to miss the way this plays out. But first, our Hagerty Protection Network tip advises you to protect your new acquisition with a cover. Car covers protect your car from dust. Welcome back to Car Search. Let's join Craig in Scottsdale for a final look at the Ferrari recognizable Ferraris. Team Atlanta is considering buying a more unusual car, the 308 GT4, but only if they get their price. If we know our boys, it's gonna get rough. Dallas is happy with their 50s car, but they've yet to make their offer. We'll see all the haggling next week, and LA will check out a piece of California racing history. All this and Craig's in the garage with another great collectible on Barret-Jackson Car Search. I'm Darla Hahn. So long.
Barret-Jackson Car Search is brought to you by Hagerty.